Welcome, everyone. My name is Coach David here with egelloC and Financial Aid Secrets. Today is March 26th. It is right at 5 o'clock. And today we're going to be talking about scholarships. Okay. It's kind of a scholarship 101, everything you need to know. Okay. So for those that are just joining us right now, again, if you can put your student's grade into the chat, that would be awesome, right? So that we can make sure to kind of point out different parts to you guys along the way that make sense for your grade student. Okay. Now, as we're going through today, if you guys have any questions, I am more than happy to discuss those with you, right? Either at the end of our kind of presentation or during it, if it is in line with what we're currently talking about. But as far as the agenda today, we're going to be talking about scholarships, where you can get them. We're also going to talk about how they can hurt you and what to watch out for. Okay. So that's what we're going to go over today, right? As far as housekeeping things, right? We will have this replay available to our kind of our coaching families and on our private YouTube channel, right? For those that are coming from Facebook, go ahead. I'm going to post a kind of I'm going to make a post on Facebook afterwards. If you guys are interested in getting the replay for this, go ahead and comment on that post, and then our team will get it over to you. But for those, I do see a couple new names here. For those that are kind of new to this kind of system and our presentations, right? Just a little bit about me. I'm a former college and law school admission reader, right? I was a former lawyer in my past life, right? I've been working with students for the past 16 years now, and I've also been working with students on financial aid for the last 15 years, right? I've been able to save families a lot of money, and I am hoping that I can save your family a lot of money as well. Okay. Now, one of the things that a lot of families come for is my kind of breaking news section, right? Unfortunately, for this week, there's not much, right? The one thing I did want to make sure that families understand is that California has extended its financial aid deadline to April 2nd. So if you're a family that hasn't turned in anything yet, you have a week left, or more like 5 days, right? So make sure to get on that as soon as possible. As far as other financial aid news, right? There's new articles out, but it's the same old news, right? Everyone's worried about what's going to happen to the Department of Education. I'm worried about it too, right? Federal loans, Pell Grants, all these things. What's going to happen, right? Unfortunately, the news is all still kind of up in the air, right? I presented kind of like 2, 3, 4 weeks ago about all the changes that are happening and that might happen, right? Loans might get shifted to a different department, aid might go to a different department, so on and so forth. Nothing is for sure yet. Everything is status quo as it is, except for jobs, obviously, right? I think half the workforce of the US Department of Education was let go, right? So that's a huge change, but I don't know what's going to happen with everything yet. Again, I am probably the person that is looking at this the most, so I'll try to bring you new news as soon as it is out, right? Or as soon as it's out and we're having a training. Okay. But if you do have questions about anything and how that might affect your situation, again, reach out to me. I am very reachable by email, on Facebook Messenger, if you're in our coaching program, in your Discord channel. Okay. So with that, let's go into the training for today. Okay. My fair warning is always this, right? If you've ever heard your family makes a little too much money, right? Your family's not eligible. If you think that owning your home disqualifies you, right? Or if you have a rental property that disqualifies you, right? You're probably the family that I need to talk to. Okay. There's too many opportunities out there for parents to get money and families to get money. Okay. So I will have a link at the end so you can sign up for a financial aid consultation, right? The one good thing about our program is that, hey, we have a money back guarantee, right? If it doesn't work out and we're not able to get you the financial aid that we promised, hey, you get your money back, right? And at least an expert in this field did your financial aid and was not able to get you anything, okay? So before we get into our training on scholarships, just a quick word for our sponsors. I do see that there are several 11th graders here, right? Now, for those 11th graders, my question to you is, yes, paying for college is definitely important, but the more important part is getting into the colleges that our student wants, right? And so with that, I do want to make sure that our families know that I am part of a bigger organization, right? And that bigger organization is egelloC, right? We are formerly known as College Admission Secrets, okay? Now, as part of our egelloC coaching program, we do have a college application intensive. Our college application intensive is a 2-weekend event where students can come with their kind of, ideas, leave with rough drafts. And then for the second part, the accelerator, leave with final drafts of their main essays. So if that is something that interests you, you can definitely go to our website, collegeappintensive.com. I will also have a QR link and a phone number that you can, text so that you can get more information about it if you are interested as well. But for those 11th graders out there, this is something that will greatly help you. A lot of students feel like they know how to write. Unfortunately, no high school student is prepared to write the college application essays. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, and so this is available for families, right? But let us actually finally get into our scholarship training now. Okay, so scholarships, right? The first question that we have is where do you find them, right? The first thing, right, is many times colleges provide scholarships, right? Now, to make this easy and differentiate it, what I'm actually going to do is call all the money that a college gives to us, right, free money, right? The reason why I want to differentiate is because I'm also going to be talking about outside scholarships later, okay? But for this purpose, it's free money, right? Now, different colleges have different regulations, requirements for students to be eligible for scholarships, okay? Moving on, right? One of the pieces of the puzzle is merit scholarships, okay? Now, I put a little kind of comment in here that, well, they don't really exist, right? I have had thousands of consultations with families and ask me like, oh yeah, well, my student's going to get merit scholarships, right? They're not really there, right? I want families to think that they do not exist, right? And let me tell you why, right? The first is that pure merit scholarships are very far and few between. I'm not saying that they don't exist, but they're a little bit like the Loch Ness Monster. There's a lot of people that say that they have seen the Loch Ness Monster, but there's like no definitive proof, right? Now, again, I do know that they exist because even in California, where I am based, right, there are pure merit scholarships available, right? Well, let's kind of qualify that. There are merit scholarships available, but it's not only based on your merit, okay? Now, the closest thing that we have in our UC system, right, in the University of California system, is something called the Regents or Chancellors Scholarship, okay? Each UC has a set number of Regents or Chancellor scholarships that they give out to students, right? Now, if you look at the fine print of the Regents or the Chancellor Scholarship, it literally tells you that it is that you kind of get chosen by your merit, but the amount that you get, which can range anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000, right, is based on your financial need, right? So just to kind of like put it into perspective, right? Each year, right, the UCs accept or send out about 10,000 acceptance letters to students. Okay. Out of those 10,000 acceptance letters that they send out about 50 Regents or Chancellors scholarships. Okay. So if you're one of the lucky students that get one of those 50 kind of spots that they have at each individual UC campus, right, your chances are 50 out of 10,000, right? That's not a very good chance, right? So, but kind of going forward, right, if you are one of those, right, then it depends on where your family's income lands on the totem pole, right? So if your family is near the top income earners, you're going to get closer to 2,000. If your family's a lower income earner or at the bottom of the totem pole, then you're going to get more money. Okay. So while merit scholarships do exist to a certain extent, sometimes they change depending on your family's income. Okay. Now, I pulled this off a school's website. I believe it was like LMU, right? So it says here, merit scholarships recognize achievements in high school and are based on academics, rigor and curriculum, quality of application, and test scores. Okay. So they're basically saying that your merit scholarship is based on everything in your application, right? And just like the UCs, there is a range, right? It can be as high as $40,000 per year. That means that some kids are going to get $200, some kids are going to get $1,000, some kids are going to get $40,000, right? So what do you think that is based on? It's based on their financial need, okay? So for parents out there with 11th graders, oh, my student did really well, right? So they're going to get some merit scholarship. You need to get that out of your brain, okay? It does not exist, right? And at kind of like the top 20 schools in the United States, they explicitly state on their websites that they do not have any merit-based awards, okay? If the top 20 is doing that, right, Everyone else is kind of following along what they're doing. Now, if you apply to a little bit more of a unknown school, an obscure school, and your student is a very, very high kind of ranking, high achieving student, is there a chance that they give you money to incentivize you to come? Yes, there is, right? Is there an incentive given to students from out of state, from schools like ASU, right? They love California students, right? Is there an incentive given to have those California students come? Yes, but it's not really a scholarship. If you're from California and you apply to ASU and your GPA is above a 2.5, then they automatically give you $50,000 over the course of 4 years. It's not because of your academic kind of standing. It's just because you're coming from out of state, they want to incentivize you to spend money in Arizona. Okay, so keep that in mind there, right? Then there's other free money, right? Colleges see it all the time, right? You'll see some examples of it later when I kind of get to kind of our more recent results, right? They might call it aid or departmental funding or scholarship or grant or some waiver, right? But at the end of the day, it is free money, right? Any extra money we can squeeze out of colleges is a great thing, okay? So that is kind of the scholarships that you can get from college, right? Free money, okay? Now, how to attack this, right? I showed you what it said on LMU's website about their merit kind of scholarships. It's about your application, how you present yourself. Colleges are looking not for quantitative GPA factors, right? They're looking for qualitative factors that give them a reason to give money to a particular student, right? Focus on your strengths. Highlight where you have dedicated your time, right? One school that really loves like students that does community service is a school like Tulane. They have a special scholarship for students that have participated in a lot of community service, right? A high GPA is not a marker for you getting anything. Okay, literally. I've had students that are 4.7, this and that. No merit aid, right? I've also had students that are a 3.2 get merit aid but it's not merit aid. It is based on all the factors in your application, including your family's financial need. Okay. So whether it's community service, sports, projects, right? You want to focus on showing how you have spent your time. And remember, colleges want more change makers and leaders. Okay. That's what they want. That's the person that they want coming to their campus. Okay. So hopefully all that made sense, right? Now we're going to move to the outside scholarships, right? Now you might be thinking, wait, the things we had above were scholarships. Again, remember, that's just free money we're getting from college, right? These outside scholarships are from organizations or companies that aren't affiliated with your college. Think Facebook, Instagram, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Rotary Club, your city scholarship. Those are the types of scholarships that we are talking about now, okay? Now, for those scholarships, there are some things that you need to watch out for, okay? And there's a couple things, right? The first one is, how many years can you get this scholarship? That is a very important question. Second is, what are the requirements? If they require you to be 20 years or older, well, you can't get it as a freshman because you're not old enough, right? They might have essays. They might have letters of recommendation you need to turn in. They might also need an interview. There's a lot of different things that are part of these outside scholarships. Some of them maybe even have you come like to a dinner and like you have to go up there on the stage and like hold up a little thing and take a picture even, right? So just make sure that you can abide by all the requirements that the scholarship has. Now, the biggest question that is important to outside scholarships is, where are they sending the money to if you win? Okay. Now you guys might be thinking, no, it's more important that we win. No, it's not, right? So it is more important where they're sending the money if you win. Okay. So let's talk about that, right? Where is the money going, right? The most important factor in that question I underlined, where are they sending the money, is because of something called scholarship displacement, right? Now, I have talked about this a lot, right? About how outside scholarships can actually end up harming your financial aid, right? Now, I was searching, right? And I was like looking at this and looking at that. And then finally, right, I came upon this word, right? This term, right? And I haven't really used it because I don't think it really displacement isn't really the right word, I think, right? I don't necessarily like the term, but this is the actual real terminology that colleges use that kind of scholars use when they're talking about the phenomenon that I'm going to talk about now. Okay, but it is scholarship displacement. Okay, scholarship displacement is basically this, right? Scholarship displacement is what happens when you get an outside scholarship and it gets sent directly to the college you will be attending. Okay, now you might be thinking, why does it matter where they send it, right? But let me explain it a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Okay, so let's say our student, they have gotten into USC, right? The cost of attendance at USC is $99,000 and change, right? Now, there's a lot of parents probably out there thinking, oh my God, when did college become so expensive, right? College has gone up by crazy amounts, right? When I went to college, and again, even my college was expensive at the time, it was $72,000. That was everything, room, board, tuition, everything included, right? It has gone up $27,000 in the last, I'm not going to tell you how old I am. So you guys will have to guess, right? But let's say $99,000. USC was going to give you $40,000. That's what they deemed that they needed to give you so your family could afford coming to USC. But let's say that you got a Coca-Cola scholarship worth $18,000, right? Now, for most people, right? And because I've used this example so much, I know everyone knows the answer, right? I do see some new people here, so you might not know. But most normal people would think, well, USC was going to give me 48, right? Coca-Cola is going to give me 18. That means now I have $58,000. And so the difference is going to be $41,000. That's what I need to pay out of pocket in order to go to USC, right? But let's take a look at what actually happens here. Okay, this is what happens. USC was originally going to give you 40, but you brought in $18,000 on your own by putting in your own time and effort. Now, USC only has to give you $22,000 plus the 18 that you filled to be at that $40,000 mark, right? The way you can think about this is this. What they're saying is that $40,000 is the amount you need to make it affordable for your family to come to USC. But if you find money on your own, well, now USC, well, we don't need to give you that money anymore. Instead, you found that money yourself, right? So that's okay because, well, at the end of the day, you're still getting $40,000. But the question becomes, what happens after the first year? Let's assume that the Coca-Cola scholarship was only good for 1 year. It's a 1-year scholarship, then it's done, right? Well, this is what happens. Congratulations, your family is now the proud owner of another 18K in money that you have to pay for college, right? In addition to that, another negative result that comes about because of this is that your family's baseline financial aid is now set at $22,000. That's what USC thinks that they need to give you every year because you brought in money on your own. Okay, so instead of getting $40,000 and $40,000 and $40,000 and another 40 for a total of $160,000, now you got 40 the first year from your own efforts, right? The 18 plus the 22, and then moving forward, you're going to get another $22,000 per year. That's $66,000. That means that your total financial aid that you're going to get for the course of those 4 years is $106,000, right? Compared to $160,000. You just lost out on, I don't know how much cars cost nowadays, but you probably lost out on a Lexus, right? That is basically what you lost out on, right? And I have this little owl over here saying congratulations, but it's not really congratulations. At the end of it, you kind of put yourself in this position, right? So, right now, I know that there's going to be people that go out on Google and search, right? So I'm going to do it for you, okay? One of the things that they might say is, well, yeah, no, scholarship displacement is illegal in California, right? And you're right, it is. But it's for a very specific group of people, okay? So if there are students that are eligible for federal Pell Grants, those are the only people that are not, where the colleges are not allowed to do scholarship displacement. Anyone that is not receiving the Pell Grant, right, their scholarships will be displaced, okay? Now, just to give you some context about that, in order to get the Pell Grant from the federal government in California, your income needs to be below that around 60K or less mark, right? If you're above 60K, good luck getting the Pell Grant, right? But if you're below that, you can, and then you will be protected. So you can get scholarships from anywhere, and the school, they cannot lower your financial aid based on those outside scholarships, okay? So again, I know that someone later is going to bring this up and say, no, they don't do that, right? But no, they do, right? All the time, okay? But that is the exception. If you are a Pell Grant recipient, they cannot do that. So even if you bring in 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, $70,000 in outside scholarships, they cannot displace your financial aid, okay? So keep that in mind here. Now, the takeaways from this, okay? And again, if you guys do have questions, make sure to put them in the Q&A, in the chat, somewhere so that we can make sure to answer your questions, right? The first thing that I really want to kind of put out there is that not all scholarships are created equal, right? You need to make sure that you understand the consequences of getting money from those outside scholarships. The money you're getting from school, you don't really need to worry about it too much, right? They're giving it to you, right? As long as you kind of make satisfactory academic progress, you'll be fine, right? Satisfactory academic progress means you're on the way to graduating, right? So unless you're failing your classes, you should be okay, okay? So understand the consequences of those outside scholarships, right? Even if it seems great at the time, it could hurt you in the long run, just like how I showed you with USC, right? And that Coca-Cola scholarship, right? Make sure to look into the questions I asked before, right? How long is it good for, right? What are the requirements and where are they sending the money to, right? So for a lot of our students, we say, hey, go ahead and apply and then we'll decide what we take later. I have students that literally have won $15,000 scholarships, right? But we have decided not to take them, right? Because we know what's going to happen as far as the baseline, okay? The baseline will be lowered, right? And because that scholarship is only good for 1 year, they will lose out on the remainder of their 3 years in college, right? So cash in hand. If they're going to hand you, crisp $100 bills, no problem, right? We'll even take dollar bills, right? 1 million of them, please, right? If they're going to give you a check, if they're going to direct deposit into your bank account, if they're going to give you a Visa or MasterCard gift card, right? Any of those is okay, right? But if they're saying, hey, Johnny, where are you going to be attending in the fall? We're going to send your scholarship there. You just say, thanks, but no thanks, right? Well, depending on the situation, right? So if you got no financial aid, yes, obviously that's something that you want to take, right? But if you did get financial aid, you want to make sure that you talk to someone about accepting it before you make any decisions about where to send it. Okay, so hopefully that helps, right? Now, a little bit about why we're different. Well, first off, we have a money back guarantee. I haven't seen another financial aid company out there offer a money back guarantee. Next, we don't ask you to buy life insurance policies or tax deferred annuities, right? We take you as you are with the income that you have. Your student also doesn't need to have a 4.5 GPA or a 1600 on their SATs, right? And the biggest one where I've seen other companies do this, we don't ask you to apply to colleges that you would never apply to in the first place, just so that we can keep our promise of getting you financial aid, right? Other companies, they promise you the moon, right? And then they don't deliver and then nothing happens. Us, we tell you exactly what we can get you, right? We give you a range, right? If we don't meet that, right, and don't meet our money back guarantee, you get your money back in full, right? So I'm sure we can find a solution for your family, right? And if we can't, just make sure that you just know that your money's safe, because we will give you a full money back refund. Okay. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do was start kind of sharing with you guys the results that we have gotten for this year, right? And again, we've had some great results, right? And so I wanted to share 3 of them with you today, right? Now, I wasn't able to get all the information, and for one of the students, I wasn't able to get a screenshot, right? They told me what they got, they didn't send me a screenshot, right? But I wanted to use it for today, right? So this student here, right? This student, the family income was around 347,000, right? Assets was right around 1.4 million. They owned their own homes. They had rental properties, right? They got $30,000 from Chapman, $35,000 from Fordham, and $37,000 from University of San Diego. Okay, that's one of the results that we have here. Again, I only had that one screenshot, right? And again, people might say, oh, you found that somewhere else. This is for the 25-26 year. That is the year that these students are going to be headed off to college for their first year, right? We have another family, right? Their family was around 230K, 800K in assets. They own their own home, right? This is the amount that they got from, I believe it was UC Davis, right? They got about 15 grand Cal grant, right? They also got a campus fee grant, 990, university grant, 6.6, university grant for loan reduction, 3.286, right? And then health insurance assistance for $3,800 too, right? For a grand total of roughly 15, 23, 24, 30, around $37,000. This family is going to be paying $5,000 a year to go to UC Davis. That is their total cost, right? So they're probably going to have to pay for, pay 20. So it's on a quarter system. So they're going to pay about $1,600 in the fall, $1,600 in the winter, and $1,600 in the spring. Okay. Now, this student also got offers from Santa Clara, right? Now, if we actually look at the numbers, right, they're going to pay $5,000 at UC, right? This family has probably decided on going to a UC. At Santa Clara, we got them about $67,000, okay? That's $67,000, but Santa Clara is an expensive school, so they'll still have to pay around 20, right? LMU, we got 70K, right? Again, they're still going to have to pay around, $17,000, $18,000 a year, right? Now the decision is up to them now, right? We've provided them with options, right? That can work for their family. But again, it depends on where the student finally chooses. Okay. Another result, we had a student going to Baylor, right? The family AGI is around 437,000, right? The assets are over $2 million, own their own home. They also have businesses, other properties, right? And this school, we were able to get them $42,000 a year. So it's basically half price for Baylor. Okay. So these are some of the results that we have been able to achieve this current kind of cycle with our students, right? I'm sure there's going to be more as students start coming back with the results that they have gotten. Okay. Now, again, I do want to open it up for Q&A, right? But before I do, I want to make sure that you guys have the information to reach out to us. Okay. So if you are interested in talking to me about financial aid, right, and kind of having a quick consultation, our consultations are always free, whether it's for our financial aid program or for our coaching program, right? We want to make sure that we provide you information. And then if our programs fit for you, then we will tell you about them, right? So if you are interested, you can contact us at 949-775-0865. You can text money if you're interested in the financial aid package. You can also text college to that same number if you're interested in our coaching programs for younger students or in our college application intensive. I have also put QR codes up here, right? If you are interested in kind of just like signing up on your own and finding a time, right, you can go ahead and use those QR codes to book a consultation with us on either end. Okay. The one on the left is going to be for financial aid. The one on the right is for our coaching programs. Okay. So I want to make sure that we do open it up for questions. So I'll give some people time to kind of, take a screenshot, scan the QR code, do whatever you need to do, right? And then I'll also wait for some questions here as well. Okay. All right, we have a question in the Q&A, and the question is there a limit to the income that you can have in order to get financial aid? So as you saw, the kind of numbers or like the incomes that I was working with for those three specific cases were in the $200,000, $300,000, and $400,000 range, right? Now, if your income is above like, $750,000 or it's over $1 million, there's nothing that anyone can do for you really, right? Unless you are forging your taxes every year, right? Which we do not condone and we do not do. Okay. But anyone that's kind of under that $700,000 mark is probably something that we can help, right? There have been instances where I've been able to get money for very high income families, but it's because the situation is complicated, right? We were able to utilize different loopholes in order to get them a little money, right? I was able to get them about $15,000 a year. Okay. But if you guys do have other questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A, put them in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. It could be about anything. It doesn't need to be about scholarships. Anything related to financial aid, right? Or kind of what's going on in the world. Those are all good questions as well, right? And in the meantime, I'll also go ahead and put the kind of link to the financial aid consultation. And again, they are free into the chat here so that you guys can go ahead and use that link as well. So there's 3 ways to sign up for financial aid: text, QR code, and link, right? So there's no kind of reason why you shouldn't. Again, it's free. If I can help you, I'll let you know. If I can't, I'll let you know as well, right? So the risk is that I actually had a family reach out to me yesterday, right? This family reached out to me yesterday and said, hey, we just saw your training yesterday about the CSS profile, and we realized that we screwed up pretty bad because we didn't do anything, right? And I was like, we need to talk today. So I did talk to them today, and I realized there were still some things that we could do for them. Okay. They have twins, right? Double ouchie, right? 2 kids in college at the same time, right? One got into Johns Hopkins, right? The other one, I believe, is going to Emory. That's $180,000 a year, right? And so we're going to do everything that we can to help them, right? And we're probably going to be able to get them about 25, 30 grand a year, right? In their situation. Okay. So we have a question here. It says, since you mentioned LMU, my daughter received the presidential scholarship valued at 120K, also true 10K per year for golf. Since you mentioned that scholarship displacement is not a factor if you qualify for, it's not if you qualify for Cal Grant. You need to qualify for Pell Grant, right? So Cal Grant is given by the California state. The restrictions and limits are a little bit different, right? If you are eligible for the Pell Grant, there is no scholarship displacement in California. Okay. Yes, and it's public and private institutions in California, right? So whether it's a private school or a public school, they cannot do scholarship displacement if you are eligible for the Pell Grant. Okay. We have another question here, and it says, as college prices go up, are colleges being more frugal with the money they give out? Not necessarily, but I will say this. With all the things that are going on in the world right now, the U.S. Department of Education being a agency that gives a lot of money to colleges for like research and this and that, a lot of colleges are being cheap and frugal right now, not because, well, their prices are going up, right? But because they're not sure what kind of funding is going to be coming in the next 2, 3, 4 years, right? So because the colleges aren't sure where they're going to have to open their wallets, unfortunately, this year, what I've seen is that colleges are giving less money than previous years, right? Now, for students that are already in college, well, that doesn't really matter because your baseline has been set. You will continue to get that money. There's not very many situations where colleges will say, we gave you $50,000 last year. Everything else for you guys is the same as far as your kind of income and this and that, but we're going to drop it $10,000. It just doesn't happen, right? So unfortunately, for the students that are kind of graduating in 2025, it is something that we're going to have to deal with as far as colleges being a little bit less friendly with giving out that money. Okay. But we have to deal with the situation that we're given. Okay. So we have another question that says, for outside scholarships, how do you explain to a nonprofit to send the check to you instead of just sending it directly to colleges? That's not something that you can usually request, right? The reason why like these like nonprofits or these organizations are sending checks directly to the colleges is because they want a tax write-off at the end of the year for charitable giving, right? So, I mean, if you know someone in that organization, then yeah, you might ask them for a check directly to you or, like to the student, right? But if their policy is that they send it directly to the school and that's the only way that you'll ever get this money, well, then you have to make a kind of decision on how you're going to do that. Okay. Good questions, very pointed questions, right? Again, that's why we're here to help you guys answer questions. Okay. I'm going to put the link to the consultation in here one more time. Again, once we close down Zoom, this will disappear. So make sure that you take a screenshot of this page or save the link somewhere so that you can sign up with us so that we can talk about your situation. Now, there's probably a lot of, I saw a lot of people coming later as well. There's probably people that have 8th, 9th, 10th graders as well, right? And you might be thinking, oh yeah, this is great. I will remember when my student is a rising senior, right? Well, there's 2 reasons why you should sign up for your consultation now. One, you might need to be doing things in the relevant tax year in order to help your situation, right? The second thing is that, well, I have students that are as young as 4th grade, right? The reason why a lot of our families sign up early is because, well, it's the cheapest now, right? Our prices are never going to go lower, right? So you can lock in your student at any time, right? If they're in 8th grade, you can lock them in now. The price you pay is the price you pay today, right? In the future, in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, I don't know what our prices are going to be, right? Everything's going up, right? I went to Costco, right? The eggs went up by like 45% over the course of a week, right? I bought them for $14 for the 5 dozen, right? A week before. The week later, they were $22, right? Or maybe not a week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't eat that many eggs, right? But again, everything's going up. So I cannot guarantee what the prices are going to look in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, right? So it will be the cheapest now. Okay. So again, make sure to take a screenshot here. Make sure that you copy that link, right? Yeah, like this person said in the chat, we need a scholarship for eggs these days. Yeah, I know, right? And it's not even just I literally went to Costco 7 times, right, over the course of 10 days to try to find eggs, right? I went, no eggs, right? I went the next day, no eggs, right? I went the next day, right? They had quail eggs. And I was like, well, I need to eat like 7 of those to equal 1 egg, right? And then, right, finally, right, I decided, you know what? I'm going to wake up at 7 o'clock and I'm going to go to Costco and I'm going to be the first one in line and get my eggs, right? But it wasn't because I was there at 7 o'clock that I got eggs. It was just that was the day they got their delivery. So it just coincided, right? But finally, after 7 days, I got eggs, right? So it took a while. In the meantime, I was paying $20 for a dozen at like different supermarkets. Okay, egg prices are dropping. Unfortunately, everything else isn't, right? Again, make sure you sign up for that consultation, and then we'll talk, see if I can help you. If I can, I'll tell you about our program. Okay. All right, all right. But thanks for that info on the eggs. Hopefully Costco's eggs prices are going down, right? So I have a couple doggos at home that get eggs in their meals. So hopefully it goes down. Okay, so I don't see any other questions. So we'll kind of end off here today. Again, if you do have questions, make sure to reach out on Facebook, Discord, wherever, so that we can make sure to answer your questions. Okay, so I'm going to leave this up just for a couple of minutes so that you guys can, take screenshots and whatnot. And then we will see you again here next week, right? Hopefully we'll have some exciting news and some good news, right? But I'm not hopeful. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you guys then. And if everyone, I'm in California. We have another cold spell coming in, so everyone stay warm, and we'll talk to you again soon. Okay? All right. Bye-bye. Have a great night.